Now this is what winter looks like, and it pisses me off something horrible. It's gonna get down in the teens. Besides that, here's another silly misconception. What is needed to embrace Gnosticism? Is it any of these texts that got dug up in the Nag Hammadi? No, it's the exact Bible that we have. Not even the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha, you can actually say, are anti-Gnostic writings. And I'm speaking of 1st, 2nd Maccabees. Not necessarily 1st Maccabees, but Daniel Bell and the Serpent, Tobit, the Song of Susanna. I'm blanking on the rest of them. But the Old and New Testament. The only thing you need is not look at... Do what I did when I first approached the Bible, and still do. I've never taken the Bible as infallible, and I've read things and I'm like, this guy's lying, and that's sheer propaganda. Still have faith and believe in God and in Christ, or just study the Bible very carefully. Right? Now, not saying that's a correct interpretation, but if you look at Isaiah, Ezekiel, Genesis, the sons of God, who they are, how they're talked about, even at the end of Job, Genesis 3, Ezekiel 26, and Isaiah 14, I believe. Maybe it's Ezekiel 14, Isaiah 28. One of those chapters, they talk about the sons of God and the seal of the cherubim, which also could be the crafty serpent, depending on how you translate it. And then you have 2 Corinthians 3:13, chapter 3, verse 13 to 17. And then you got those weird epistles like Colossians and Ephesians, which are disputed. They're not like the pastorals. People are like, did Paul write them? Didn't he write them? If those are supposed to be anti-Gnostic, which a lot of Lutherans claim, oh, Colossians is an anti-Gnostic thing, and Ephesians, except those are the ones that have things in like thrones, dominions, principalities, the ruler of the air. Paul continually mentions throughout the undisputed letters and the disputed letters and the pseudo letters, the God of this world, the craftsman. I mean, he straight up says in chapter 3 of 2 Corinthians, basically the law of Moses hurt mankind, cursed people, put a veil over their eyes, and now Christ has come to take the veil away. Now, if you're a Marcion and you're living in the part of Anatolia that received the epistle to the Galatians, and you grew up on that, your dad was a priest in the church, priest meaning presbyter, and again, I can't emphasize enough, there were no priests to begin with, and there still technically are not priests. The only priests are the individuals. Even a baby girl who just was baptized is a priest in the church, not the men who do the liturgy. Let me rephrase that. All the people who do the liturgy are priests, not just the one that we bastardized the word presbyter into English and made it priest. The works of Peter and Jude, James, these are works that counterbalance Paul. So does Hebrews, kind of. But if you just look and just read, be like, oh, what's the earliest? Oh, well, it's these 7 works of Paul, these 2 other pseudo-Pauline works, Mark and John. You wouldn't get the Basilidian nonsense of all these realms and astrology crap and all this. Astrology was important for the biblical worldview, but I don't think you could say it was for God's overall worldview, even coming from, I hesitate to call it Gnostic, but I'll just say proto-Pauline view, right? And then you get another view, and it's not one solid view, it's a bunch of different ones. It comes through Matthew, James. Obviously James was written a hell of a lot earlier than Matthew, James, 1st, 2nd Peter, who are 2 different writers. And then John's on his different wavelength, and that's basically where the epistles of John are, where we get our Christianity from, if you're looking at it skeptically. Although John can fit in, I actually thought Paul wrote John, the Gospel of John and the epistles of John. But yeah, I can extrapolate on that later, and I actually probably now have to do a series on that. But these shitheads, sorry I have to use that language, but they are. Like these damn occultists, these New Age people, the Styx, Hex, and Hammer people, the Wicca and the occult and all this stuff, thinking that the Gnostics, by attributing Christ as a serpent in the garden, which Christ does attribute himself to the serpent on the brass pole, which comes after the decree of no graven images, there is a shining and a serpentineness attributed to Christ, and that's the exact same thing as that's attributed to the one that the lawgiver does not like. And then we see 2 creation accounts, 2 flood stories. Even if you just want to see the demiurge as, you know, the ancient Judaizers who stepped away from e-text and put in all that Levitical law added to the Decalogue, you know, put in all these clauses and stuff, and then justified all the violence, like, you know, the people who were backing King David, who believed northern Israel were pagans. I don't think northern Israelites were pagans, and I don't think they mixed with anybody. It's clear it was vice versa. We know where the Samaritans are. We know who Ephraim and Manasseh are. They're the Samaritans. But yeah, that's all you need for Gnosticism, or what the ancient Gnostics believed. A few centuries on, you get the Basilidian nonsense. You get all the Ophite crap, the Sethian nonsense. I mean, you get people just running wild with that stuff, which were probably the outliers. Probably the people who were called the Gnostics the most were the people who kept copying down Paul and John and the rest of the New Testament scriptures, even the ones we don't think are quote-unquote Gnostic. And I'll go to part 2, which is probably going to be titled something like, honestly, there are no modern-day Gnostics that believe what the ancient Gnostics believed, in the same vein that what Christianity is today, and I'm saying this as an Orthodox Christian, is not the same thing as it was before. But people are going to misunderstand that, so it's going to take a whole damn video. Peace to you.